So welcome everyone. Everyone's ready to go for swimming in the swimming pool. I thought we will be swimming today. That's why we came together. But we have different swimming pool, swimming in the ocean of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So we'll be starting with traditional Kirtan, and then we will read something from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I was wondering how many of you come for the very first time? Anyone? Okay, a few people. But I'm sure Bhagavad-gītā is familiar. You're familiar with Bhagavad-gītā. And today's topic will be happiness. I hope everyone's interested in that topic. So if you are into misery, that's the wrong venue. So we'll be discussing about happiness, and Bhagavad-gītā, of course, is discussing that topic. And mostly we'll try to give time to questions and answers, because I'm sure you have many questions. And then we have the special happy surprise for you, which you will know at the end. We will not tell you immediately. So the song we're going to sing is coming from a personality who was behind the vision of spreading bhakti all over the planet. And his son made a lot of effort and started that mission. And it was successfully accomplished by Srila Prabhupada, the founder of our Hare Kṛṣṇa society. So this is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he says this song is describing the kingdom of God, Goloka, Vrindavana, fully. Everyone is there. Radha, Krishna, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and Govardhan Hill, and Yamuna, and the forests of Braj as well. Everything's described in that song, the whole spiritual world. And I hope everyone is okay with English language. Everyone's comfortable? Even if it is Russian English? It's still okay? All right. At least the song will be more understandable. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Radha Madhava Gopidana Balabha Girivara Hare Jai Gopidana Balabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. All together, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. All together, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. One more time, louder please, all together. One more time, louder please. Can't hear you. One more time, together. Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की जय, श्रीमद्-भागवत-गीता एज इट इज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Okay, little introduction. Introduction. You need microphone? You have microphone?
Can you hear me? Yes.
It's not microphone. It's recording.
Recording.
Oh, for recording. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we would like to welcome all of you for another Sunday session. Our Sunday session is what? Gita? Rahasya. Very secretive, right? That's what we are trying to understand, the secrets of Bhagavad-gītā. And today we are very fortunate, we are really blessed to have, as I said last week, Sadhu Sangha. What did I say about Sadhu Sangha? Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, सर्व शास्त्र कहे, सब शास्त्र में कहा गया, लव मात्र साधु संग. One moment of sadhu sangha, what can it result in? Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. You can attain all perfection by one moment of sadhu sangha. So we are blessed, we are getting sadhu sangha for at least 2-3 hours, right? So let us make the best of it, right? Whenever these opportunities come, we should try to make the best of it. To make the best of it, the first thing I would really request you all is divert the phone for these 2 hours. Unless you are a doctor and you are expecting emergencies, because this is the biggest distraction, for us. It stands between us and the sadhu sangha. So my humble request is, sab phone turn off kar dijiye. And before we hear from sadhu, I always say we must hear about the sadhu, right? Because if we don't know about Prabhupada, then what Prabhupada speaks to us, we will not value, right or wrong? So now we are going to hear from the sadhu. But if we don't know a bit about the sadhu will keep talking and we'll say, ठीक है, उनको बोलने दो. So I'll give you all a very brief background of Maharaj, that, I'm sorry. Bhakti Rasayana Sagara Maharaj. He was born where? In Russia. Now, when we talk of sadhus, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? Humko lagta hai sadhus mean India, right? We can't even think of sadhus outside India. Born in Russia in the year 1989. And for some of you all who don't know 1989, Russia, what communism was there. Very difficult to practice any type of religion. In that conditions, in that land, he was born and he took up to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, in the year 1989. And he got initiated by our another very dear, His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj in 1991. So if you'll calculate, I think more than half of his life he's been in bhakti only. 1989 mane kitne ho gaye? My maths is very poor. 36 years, right? Of course, he's not 72. So more than half of his life he is dedicated to serving Guru and Krishna. So very briefly I'll explain. And in 2016 in Sridham Mayapur, he renounced everything to become a sannyasi. Today he is a sannyasi, totally dedicated to serving his Guru, serving Srila Prabhupada and the movement. Very briefly I'll tell you all about his contribution. One point I want to make, which I'll end with, but just very briefly I'll talk about his role in the ISKCON movement. He's been a Sankirtan leader, traveling all over the world. Wherever he goes, we saw he does such sweet Kirtan. He's the temple president. He's the regional secretary. He's a deputy GBC. GBC अगर आप लोग को मालूम ना हो, क्योंकि आप लोग काफ़ी लोग सब नए हैं, Governing Border Body Commission. So that committee takes care of not only one Pune. They get responsibility of one area. You have to take care of Bombay, Pune, Pura that area. So he is the deputy GBC. And presently he is the member of a body called Sabha, which is an advisory body to the GBC. This point I'll end with it. And currently he keeps traveling all over the world, and his teachings are mostly based on the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā. How to apply them, as we always say, in our day-to-day lives. And what I'm being told is, he impacts people mostly how, do you all know? By his own example. Whatever he speaks, people see it in his life. Right? Because if you don't see it, then हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? He is only talking, बोलने दो. But most important thing is that he impresses people by his practicing whatever he speaks. And I'll just end with, I'm sure you all want to hear Maharaj. आप लोग बोलेंगे हमको महाराज को सुनना, we don't want to hear your class. I'll just share one very important point that was given to me in this class. How he is so wonderfully following his Guru and his Guru's Guru, Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada. For some of you all who may not know, Srila Prabhupada in 12 years, ध्यान से सुनिए, in 12 years, Srila Prabhupada covered the whole planet Earth. How many times do you all know? Who knows? 14 times. Is it possible? छुट्टी पे भी जाएंगे, then also you cannot do it. 12 years, Srila Prabhupada covered the whole globe 14 times. How many of you all can believe it? Maharaj, in 12 years, has covered the whole globe, Earth. How many times? 14 times. Just by hearing and by understanding this, we should understand how much he surrendered and how he is following in the footsteps. देखो गुरु का मतलब ये होता है, right? So we are so fortunate to have such a sadhu here. Now, what is the best thing? What is the best thing to do? When we get a sadhu, how much we absorb from that, how much we get from that, right? Accept from it. So let us very from our hearts welcome Maharaj, because if we welcome him from our hearts, then he'll want to come back also. How many of you want him to come back? Everybody will want to come back, right? So let us welcome him very graciously from our hearts. One time we'll chant the Hare Kṛṣṇa Maha Mantra. Everybody. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Oh yes, we'll request children. They have, as every Sunday we have some activity for you all. बच्चे लोग के लिए please have your fun time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Many new things I learned about myself. That being born in 89 made me 22 years younger. Thank you for that. And taking up Krishna consciousness immediately means I practiced my whole life. So good, many things you improved in my presentation automatically. And yes, I will appreciate your being absorbed fully in what we are discussing, but please no snoring, okay? Because sometimes people get absorbed too much. You know why it is important to keep quiet during class? Anyone knows? Not to wake anyone up with the noise. Okay. But I hope we won't be putting you to sleep. So we'll be discussing from Bhagavad-gītā, and that is one of the 4 key verses of Bhagavad-gītā. It is defined as Chatur Shloki, 4 special verses which give us the most important points from Bhagavad-gītā. And they appear in chapter 10, texts from 8 through 11. And we'll be discussing text 9. And before we do that, we want to chant mantras which glorify all of our gurus, especially Srila Prabhupada, Vaishnavas, and of course, Supreme Lord in so many different forms he has. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rāma 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 Hare Hare Budhāya Mat Prema Puravibhur Nirmaya Kshati Adamushu Purusha Bhumte Gunan Sudasa Sadhu Satmakaya Lankrishishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the chapter is entitled Vibhuti Yoga, which is in English translated as the opulence of the Absolute. Text number 9. Those who know this verse, you can chant responsively. Mac-cittā mad-gata-prāṇā Mac-cittā mad-gata-prāṇā Bodhayanta parasparam Bodhayanta parasparam Kathayanta shamam nityam Kathayanta shamam nityam Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Mac-cittā mad-gata-prāṇā. Bodhayanta parasparam. Katayanta shamam nityam. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So, we were supposed to discuss about happiness, but there is no happiness in Krishna consciousness. There is only bliss. And what is the difference between happiness and bliss? Happiness is something which turns into misery, but bliss is uninterrupted. So, how many of you want to be just happy? How many of you want to be blissful? Okay, very good. So let's try to understand what it means from Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, we can understand that the greatest bliss is there from love, and real love is love towards Krishna. That's real love. Whatever is going in the name of love is nothing but attachment. We say we love someone, but we don't even know who the person is, because we are only attached to the body. We might be very attached to someone and say we love that person, but in next lifetime, if that person comes in a different body, we will not even be able to recognize that person, right? Like Srila Prabhupada was telling the story, how one very wealthy man, he was loved by his family, but after he died, he took birth in a very poor family, and he came begging to the doors of his previous life's house, and no one recognized him, but they chased him away from the house. So this is what's happening, right? So that's why whatever is going on under the name of love, as Prabhupada said, in the material world, is only skin deep. The love is only skin deep, right? Because we are attached to someone, but, it's just attachment to the external appearance, attachment to the skin. Because Bhagavad-gītā is very clear, we are not the body, we are Atma, spiritual soul. And so we don't even know each other, what to speak of loving each other. But if we love Krishna, we can automatically love every living entity, regardless, In the material world, love means discrimination. I love someone, I hate somebody else, right? But if we love the Supreme Lord, then we love everyone, because everyone is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Krishna explains, chapter 15, text 7, that everyone in this material world, all living entities, are my parts and parcels. So that's why real love is possible between us and the Supreme Lord, and it includes loving everyone. And if we are absorbed in love, then this is the state of bliss we are talking about. And there is no misery. Why there is no misery? Because Krishna, if you love someone, then if there is some problem connected to that person, you suffer, right? But what about Krishna? Krishna has any problems? No. Is Krishna growing old? No. Is Krishna having any disease? Is Krishna dying? No. That's why our relationship is eternal, and that's why it is eternally blissful. And love, as my spiritual master says, has to be expressed through service. Because even in the material world, if boy says to the girl, I love you, but doesn't do anything to her, even doesn't give her maybe one flower, then she has full reason, all the reasons to doubt this kind of love, right? So real love has to be expressed through service. That's why Srila Prabhupada gives this very deep definition what Krishna consciousness is. It is transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in a verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing Him with other devotees. So, where the real happiness is coming from? From association, right? How many of you felt happy in the company of other happy people? So, if you are surrounded by miserable people, it's very hard to be happy, right? Even if your spouse is miserable, it's very hard to be happy. So happiness, real happiness, is coming only from association of someone who is happy. And what about Krishna? Is he happy or not? Always. Krishna is always smiling. Why he is smiling? Because he is happy. He is the Supreme Lord. He has no reason to be unhappy. Everything is under his control. We are also happy if everything is under our control, right? But sometimes things go out of control, and then we are miserable, right? But does it ever happen to Krishna? No. Krishna is always under control, keeps everything under control forever. No slips. So he is always happy, and he is always engaged in service. Sometimes our condition, we are thinking, if I would be God, and some people even believe that we can be God, right? Even though these gods are very strange, right? They have toothache, these gods, they have cancer, they have whatever, so many problems. Whenever I hear of Krishna having all these problems, Krishna is real God, but those fake gods, they have so many problems, still they claim they are gods, right? Complete foolishness. Like my Guru Maharaj said, the very first exposure to Vedic culture he had when he was very young. And he heard an announcement, rather saw some advertisement that such and such Swami, the Supreme Lord himself, Swayam Bhagavan, is coming into town. And everyone can come and meet the Supreme Lord face to face. If you ever wanted to see God in person, come. You are cordially invited. So he said, we came across this advertisement with my friend. I asked him, have you ever seen God? He said, no. And he said, I haven't seen God either. So shall we go and see God? He said, yeah, of course, we should go. So they went, and they were there, sitting in the hall, patiently waiting when the Supreme Lord will make his appearance on the stage. And they were waiting and waiting, and it was 15 minutes late, half an hour late, then 1 hour late. They were okay, because they knew whatever comes from India comes with serious delay. I was wondering, India, if people tell you in 1 minute, just wait 1 minute, it becomes 10 minutes. If they tell you just 5 minutes, it becomes half an hour. 10 minutes becomes an hour. I was confused. But then, after studying Prabhupada books, I realized what's happening. Why in India people have completely different time scale. Because India, it's foreign name. The real name is Bharat, right? And Bharatvarsha is highly glorified in Shastra, especially Bhagavatam, Canto 5, explains that even devotees in Svargaloka, they queue up for the opportunity to take birth in Bharatvarsha. Because, especially this time in Bharatvarsha, there is perfect opportunity to advance spiritually. And, as we know, demigods, they have completely different time calculation, right? If anyone remembers the pastime of Lord Brahma stealing Krishna's friends and calves, right? He just went away for 1 minute. But or 1 moment, it says. But in his calculation, 1 moment, it was 1 year, according to earthly time calculation. So I realized Bharatiyas are devatas. They have totally different time scale. So, anyway, after a while you get used to these things. And so they were waiting and waiting. But then after 1 hour, they were thinking, then even for Bharatiyas, it's a little bit too much of a delay. They were wondering why, this Swami is not coming on stage. But then they heard behind the curtains, someone was sobbing. And that person came out, with tears in his eyes, and he says, I have very sad news. This celebrated Swami, the Supreme Lord, on the way to the program, met with car accident and died on the spot. And then my Guru Maharaj said, my friend and I looked at each other and said, the Supreme Lord died? Why the sun is still shining? Why the earth is still functioning? How come? If God is dead, who is controlling everything? So anyway, Srila Prabhupada said, there are two most important things to realize in Krishna consciousness. Anyone heard? What are the two most important things to realize in Krishna consciousness? Anyone wants to know? Remember it for life, or even better, write it down. Krishna is God and you are not. Krishna is God and you are not. So, Prabhupada sometimes would give explanation to this little song, little bhajan we sang before the class. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari. So he would say that Gopi Jana Vallabha means the one who is beloved of all the gopis. And who are the gopis? These are the most beautiful ladies, not only on earth, but in the entire creation. And Krishna is known as Gopi Jana Vallabha. He is the beloved of all the gopis, right? And Srila Prabhupada says, any man in this world wants to be Gopi Jana Vallabha, surrounded by beautiful ladies who love him and serve him, right? And he said, qualification for that Gopi Jana Vallabha is very simple. Giri Varadhari. Just lift Govardhan hill, as Krishna did, and all the gopis will become enchanted with you. But who can lift Govardhan hill? Krishna lifted Govardhan hill. At what age? How old he was? 7 years old. And how did he lift it? Without any effort. Holding it on the pinky of his left hand. And how long did it hold him? Did he hold Govardhan? 7 days and nights non-stop. Can anyone repeat that? Not even in dreams, right? What to speak of Govardhan hill? What to speak of even a matchbox? Just empty hand, try to hold it in the air like this for 7 days and nights. Then you will understand, no, I am not God. Very simple test. But still, so many stupid people who think they can become God and bewilder other people. No. Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnava acharyas are very clear. Krishna is God, you are not. So, but we can become servants of God. And it's always better to be servant than to be the master, actually. Because servant is provided and supported by the master, and master is taking all the blows. So that's why position of the servant is much more pleasurable for us. So their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. So how many of you feel pleasure when you hear and discuss topics about Krishna? Yeah. That's the greatest fun. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually submerged in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them there are few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. That's really rare opportunity. I mean, people take great pride in service. For example, someone has position of government servant. It's a very high position, right? Because government servant means you serve the entire country. And that's very high position. So if someone can become global servant, that's even higher, right? You serve the entire world. But what is this world? What is this planet? Bhagavatam describes that this planet is only one speck of dust on the universal scale, within the universe. And what is the universe? Just one expansion of Krishna, which is called Mahavishnu, or Karndavashaya Vishnu. He lies in a causal ocean, and the universes are coming from the pores of his body. So each universe is only as big as pore of Mahavishnu's body. And this Mahavishnu is just partial expansion of Krishna. Can you imagine? And we have opportunity to serve Krishna directly. Can you imagine? What a privilege, what a great fortune it is to serve Krishna. There is no greater service in the entire creation. So that's why those who realize that, they are most fortunate personalities. The devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavana, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. The plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. So we may wonder, what do we gain? Because it seems to be something very simple. Chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Just 3 words in different combination. So we might, to be honest, I never believed that it can produce any serious results. When I learned about Hare Kṛṣṇa mantra, my friends told me this is a very powerful mantra which puts you in touch with Krishna, and Krishna is the most powerful personality. And I didn't believe that. I said, how such simple mantra can produce any serious effect? It's not possible. And you know what my friend told me? You don't have to believe anything. Just try, experiment, you will see what will happen to yourself. You don't have to ask anyone. And I was a little curious. So I decided to try to explore. That was more than 40 years ago. I'm still trying. Because it's unbelievable. Krishna is unbelievable. And Krishna comes into your life in a very obvious way after you start chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa. So many things change. And sometimes some people may ask you, what does it give you, this Hare Kṛṣṇa? What's so special about this Hare Kṛṣṇa? What have you gained by chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa? Anyone ever came across such question? Okay. So there could be many, many answers to this question. But I was thinking about one word which is actually an acronym which gives a brief idea of the benefits from chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa. And that word, which actually is acronym, is life. What does it give you? It gives you life. So what the life stands for? L stands for love. Of course, loving Krishna fully and purely, that may take time. We may not feel it immediately, so much love towards Krishna. But something which we can feel immediately is Krishna's love towards me. How many of you felt that since you started chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, you immediately realized Krishna loves you. Krishna is looking after you. Krishna is protecting you. Krishna is providing you. Anyone felt that? Yes, it's universal. So, divine love, L, I stands for immortality. Srila Prabhupada would say deathlessness. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would make up new English words which never existed before, which is okay, because the most celebrated English writer, William Shakespeare, he made up 300 new English words, which people still use today. So he invented 300 words because he felt that he needed broader vocabulary to express himself, so he created new words. So Srila Prabhupada was also creating new English words. So one of the words he created was deathlessness. And he would say, deathlessness begins at the moment of initiation, diksha. So, by the influence of Krishna consciousness, you can become immortal already in this lifetime, attain full immortality. And there are so many stories of how ISKCON devotees attained immortality. Do you want to hear a story? And it's not even from Bharat, it's from other countries. Because, Bharatiya attaining immortality, that's kind of, standard, right? According to Vedic perspective, but foreigner attaining immortality through bhakti, that's something very rare. So there was one Srila Prabhupada disciple, and her name was Lady Ratna Ranjini Devi Dasi, and she was from Scotland, UK. And even though she was so senior, but she always enjoyed serving all devotees, from senior-most to junior-most. She would cook, she would, do so many things for them. So she knew the secret of quick advancement in Krishna consciousness. Not only serving Krishna, but serving Krishna's devotees also. And so she enjoyed that, but then in the course of time she got cancer. And she was bedridden, and her only regret was that she could not continue serving devotees, but rather devotees were serving her. And the disease was taking its course. She was becoming more and more weak, more close to the point of death. And then suddenly something happened. She looked so blissful. She was literally glowing with bliss, with joy. And devotees couldn't figure out, how is that? Because this disease is supposed to make you miserable. But she was glowing with joy. And they were asking, what happened? You look so happy. What's the reason? And she was shy. She said, it's something confidential, which of course made devotees even more curious. What is that? What's happening with you? She was actually crying tears of joy. Happy tears. And she said, okay, because devotees kept pushing. And she admitted, okay, she said, I'll tell you. Actually, I see my path. I see Goloka. I see Radha Krishna and all their associates. And most interesting thing, I see myself in there. I see see the deha, spiritual body. I know who am I. I know my age. I know my nitya seva, eternal service. Actually, I'm not serving directly Radha Krishna. I'm serving their associates. I'm serving gopis and manjaris. And it's so blissful out there that I cannot wait to go there. And so this is how she left this world. Blissful, totally immersed in spiritual joy. So that's not death. That's real birthday. People like to celebrate their birthdays. Some people say that it's dangerous to have too many birthdays because it may kill you if you have too many birthdays. In Western world, there is a tradition when they have the birthday cakes, probably some of you familiar, and then depending on how old you are, that many burning candles they stick in your birthdays, a cake. And in Russia, they say the older you are, the brighter your birthday cake is blazing. So people celebrate their birthdays. But what is birth? In Russia, they say that if birth would be such a happy event, why all the newborn kids scream and cry like anything? They say, we were born wet, naked, and hungry, and it was only the beginning of the journey. So, and each birthday means 1 year closer to death. And death means greatest misery, right? I'm not a fan of Hollywood movies, but sometimes when I visit Los Angeles, and this is the home of the Hollywood, and when they produce new movie, of course, Los Angeles is the first and foremost place where they want to see it. And they have huge advertisement for the new movie. The whole city is covered with, the billboards. And I was there when they produced one movie and they so heavily advertised it. And I saw all the billboards. And I didn't see the movie, but I really liked the name of it, the title of the movie. And the title was Everything is Lost. Of course, it was a comedy. But I was thinking this is perfect title for our life. Because life ends with death, and death means everything is lost. And so people celebrate each year closer to that point when everything will be lost, right? So because death means end of everything. Everything I was hoping for, everything I was working for, everything I was struggling for, it's all lost. But if we shoot a movie about a devotee, Then we can, about devotee who leave this world, we can make another title. Everything is gained at the moment of death. Because moment of death, so-called death, what is it for devotee? It's the beginning of real life, of eternity, knowledge and bliss with Krishna. Right? So-called death is a real birth for devotee. And now I can't even remember what I was talking about before. Sorry? Oh, yes. I, immortality. F stands for freedom. The more serious you are about practicing Krishna consciousness, the greater freedom you enjoy in life. Anyone can give us example of type of freedom you gain by practicing bhakti? What about freedom from bad habits? Smoking, drinking, meat eating. What is meat eating? That's chewing piece of somebody's dead body. That's terrible, right? How people can do that? Because they don't even understand what they are doing. And drinking, that's poison. That's why it's called intoxication. It's toxin. And one thing is to drink poison by accident. But the other thing, to drink poison knowingly and also paying money for it, right? It's crazy. And sometimes big money, just to poison yourself. And, follow it by eating somebody's corpse. That's nightmare. But this is what people enjoying with, right? Why? Because they have nothing better in life. Like one Russian comedian, he said, when I am asked, why are you smoking? Don't you understand that smoking is a slow death? He says, I'm not in rush. So people destroy their lives with all these stupid habits. They become slaves of those habits. Why? Because they have nothing better in their life, right? No enjoyment. That's why they try to enjoy by poisoning themselves, eating someone up, etc. And by practicing Krishna consciousness, you become completely free from these addictions. And if you are free from addictions, then other addicts, materialistic people, they don't know how to relate to you. You don't drink, you don't eat what they eat, so they realize, okay, you're not their kind of person, so they turn around and disappear. So automatically, if you're free from bad habits, you're free from bad association also. And the levels of freedom go on and on, increasing more and more. Narada Muni, I think it's easier to ask who never heard of Narada Muni than those who heard of him. Any one of you who never heard of Narada Muni? Everybody knows Narada Muni. How much freedom he enjoys. He can travel not only all over the universe, he can travel anywhere in the material and spiritual creation freely. I mean, to travel, we have to make so many arrangements, right? Visa, passport, ticket, money, luggage, which tends to get lost. So many troubles we have to go through for the sake of traveling. We have first-hand experience. we do a lot of travels. That's very stressful situation. Yesterday we arrived past 10 o'clock. We took rest closer to midnight. Woke up at 3. And today we're supposed to speak about happiness. Thinking that happiness would be to have a snooze in the first place. So traveling is a lot of stress, but for Narada Muni it's nothing. He doesn't require anything. No passports, no visas, no tickets, no luggage, nothing. Just wish and you're there. And you have spiritual body which never gets tired, diseased, nothing of this sort is happening. How much freedom is there? Just imagine. I remember, this morning we were speaking about book distribution. And book distribution gives you a lot of interesting experiences. I was reading Bhagavatam first canto. And I think it's the end of chapter 5 or chapter 6. No, chapter 6. First canto, end of chapter 6. The final verse, it's about conversation between Vyas and Narada Muni. Narada Muni is the guru of Vyas. And so in the end he says, it's explained that after finishing his conversation with Vyasadeva, Narada Muni put his veena on his shoulder and left wherever he wanted to. So he just disappeared to go anywhere he wanted to. And then whole purport Srila Prabhupada describes, how much freedom devotees can enjoy in the service of the Lord. And I was very inspired by that. Freedom. So much freedom from all troubles through Krishna consciousness. And I was distributing books, and I offered a first canto of Bhagavatam to one man on the street, and he said, no, I'm not interested. And I was so inspired by this particular text and purport. I said, okay, you are not interested, but if you have 1 minute, I wanted you to read something from this book a little bit, just to understand what you're saying no to. And I gave him to read this text and purport. So he read everything about freedom through Krishna consciousness. And then I said, okay, now you read it, you know what it is about, and now maybe next time you can think, you can think about this book. And he looked at me and he said, do you mean to say that you're also going wherever you want to go? You're also free from you gained your freedom from this process. I said, of course I am. I have no job, no obligation. I'm doing what I love in life and nothing else. And he said, okay, I'll buy this book. I'm also interested in that. And so, last one is F, which stands for freedom. I mean, not F, L-I-F-E. E means enlightenment, right? That's why you can see saintly personalities, they glow with joy because they are enlightened by Krishna consciousness. And so it's all available through the practice and so much more. But anyway, if someone will ask you, what does it give you? You can tell that, it gives me life. And you can explain to anyone what is life. So, we'll finish the last paragraph, and then we'll take questions and comments, suggestions, complaints, if you have. Srila Prabhupada says, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and His devotees. Therefore, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is very dear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagavatam itself. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Puranam, Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification or liberation. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and His devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continuous pleasure in hearing such transcendental literature, just as young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Because there is no better analogy, Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas, they compare this relationship with the Supreme Lord as relationship between boy and girl. And this kind of relationship are known as romantic relationships, right? Romantic relationships. And in here, this particular verse says, Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Ramanti. Ramanti means pleasure, bliss. So real bliss is in our relationship with the Supreme Lord, much more than relationship between opposite genders, which is unfortunately temporary and full of problems. Hare Kṛṣṇa. All right. Those who haven't fallen asleep, if you want to ask any question or make any comment. One more time, how many of you are for the first time in here? Okay. So, if there is something which was not clear or doubtful, you can always ask. Or you only have 2 questions. One, when we will end, and second one, what's next? All right. Yes. Microphone. Yes. This is for recording.
How to grow bhakti?
How to grow bhakti, how to grow in bhakti yoga. Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Srila Prabhupada relates to, refers to in the purport, says, Shravan Adi Jal. So the water, in the same way as water helps the plant to grow, so there is a water of Shravan Adi, of 9 processes of devotional service. Adi means etc. when it comes in the end of the word in Sanskrit, right? When it comes in the beginning of the word, the meaning is original. But in the end of the word, it means etc. So, Shravan Adi means Shravanam Kirtanam, Smaranam Padasevanam, Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu. So, the Prahlad Maharaj says there are 9 processes of devotional service. First one is Shravanam, hearing about Krishna, Kirtanam, chanting, discussing, glorifying Him, then Smaranam, remembering Krishna, and then Archanam, worshipping Krishna, Vandanam, praying to Krishna, making prayers to Krishna, and then Padasevanam, serving His lotus feet, Dasyam, becoming officially servant of the Lord, Sakyam, being friend of the Lord and Atmanivedanam, full surrender unto Krishna. And I would say that the key element for our spiritual growth is smaranam, because Shravanam and Kirtanam can be mechanical sometimes, right? And even service can be mechanical. But if we are focused on Krishna in our mind, that really helps us to develop spiritually. So basically we say, if we think of Krishna, Krishna will think of us. And this is how our relationships are established. So yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. Somehow or other we have to focus our minds on Krishna. Smartavyo satadam Vishnur vismritavyo najatuchi. That sarva vidhi nishadasyuretayoreva kinkara. I think it's Padma Purana. This quote is coming from. It says, always remember Vishnu or Krishna and never forget him. All the rules and regulations of the scripture are only meant to support these two principles.
Thank you, Maharaji, for such a great enlightenment. So, Maharaji, as we have heard from Shastra that Rushikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate, but most of all us in corporate life and some or other we are engaged. So, sometime we get time, means in morning sometime we didn't able to make complete, or sometime it become mechanical. And at one point of time, sometime we come to know that we are not doing that good way. So how we can say that, means how we can solace our heart that we are in bhakti. So how we can come to that point that yes, we are doing, or how we can manage our corporate life and devotional life, time management and all.
This is a very important question, and Bhagavad-gītā is addressing it, because among so many verses of Bhagavad-gītā, there are some which are repeated verbatim. And one of them is in chapter 3 and 18. One pada is repeated exactly as it is, without any change. And that pada is coming in 347 and 335 and 1847. Shayan swadharma viguna parvadharmatsa anushtitat. It says, it's far better to discharge your duty, even though imperfectly, than somebody else's duty perfectly. So, and 1847 says, one who acts according to one's nature will never incur any sin. So it's really important to engage our nature in Krishna consciousness, because, okay, we have certain rituals we have to do. Like it's ritual to wake up in the morning, take a shower, go to the temple, chant your rounds, attend Bhagavatam class, etc., etc. There are, certain rituals we have to follow. But Krishna consciousness is spiritual. It's not just a ritual. And spiritual means you have to be fully absorbed in it, in your consciousness. That's why it's called Krishna consciousness, not just Krishna's religion or something, but Krishna consciousness. And that's why Bhagavad-gītā is so important, because Arjuna wanted to be ritualistic, but he didn't want to be spiritual, which means engaging his nature in Krishna's service. Because Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and so his service to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says very interestingly, was not to chant japa. His service to Krishna was to shoot arrows at the enemy. So he had to engage his nature in Krishna's service. And so That's why it's really important for us to understand our nature and to engage that nature fully in Krishna's service. If your nature is Brahmana, then there are 6 professional duties you have, right? Yajna, Patna, Dana, Pratigraha. That you serve the Lord, you engage others in serving, you study scripture, you teach, you receive donations, and you utilize those donations in service. If you are a Kshatriya, Kshatrayate, you have to give shelter to others. Organize, manage, lead, be heroic, right? Brave, all these things. If you are Vaishya, then land, cows, trade. That's 3 activities of the Vaishyas. And, of course, nowadays, very few Vaishyas doing land and cows. Mostly they are doing trade, because this is action of one's life. And you don't even have to be Brahmana or even a Kshatriya to achieve perfection in Krishna consciousness. One time, I was traveling on a train from Delhi to Calcutta. I had to join the GBC meeting, and I was late. There were no flight tickets. So I had to buy train ticket. But this was the most expensive train ticket, which was traveling in compartment. First class, they say. And first class in Indian train is not much different from other classes, besides the fact that they try to feed you, try to kill you by feeding. That's the only difference. That, these train conductors, they bring food every 5 minutes. I was thinking, how people can eat that much. But there were 3 other passengers there. We had 4 persons compartment. And 2 were Westerners, some kind of businessman. 1 was Bengali and then me, right? And they were bringing all kinds of food and alcohol also, and they were drinking and eating everything. That was crazy. They were like vacuum cleaners, I was thinking, how can they, they like hogs, consume everything. All this rubbish. I guess the alcohol helps, to increase digestion or whatever. And, the Westerners were kind of a bit younger, maybe in their 40s or something, but the Bengali was really old. He was way past 60, and he was still, consuming all this stuff. And these conductors, these servants, they would bring in food, unpacking, feeding everyone, then packing everything, cleaning, and then 5 minutes later coming again. I was so disgusted with the whole, scene. I was spending time in another car with devotees, because these were all materialistic people. But what really impressed me, of course, this Bengali, drinking alcohol and eating all kinds of non-veg, I was shocked. And, next morning, I was thinking how he can survive that in this old age. And next morning, I saw him, taking full handful of pills to kind of, keep him going. And then after he, took his pills and he said, "So you're practicing bhakti?" I said, "Yeah." "Where are you from?" This and that. And I told him, yes, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. Our founder is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He said, yes, I know. My family name is Mishra, the same family name Sri Chaitanya Dev had. I am a Brahmana. I was shocked. I said, excuse me, you're eating and drinking everything. How come you're Brahmana? What kind of Brahmana you are? He hung his head. He said, bad association. I spent too much time living in West, picked up all the bad habits. But the most impressive personality for me in that whole scene was one servant. And I still remember his name was Ashoka Das. And in Bengal, it's pretty clear, if anyone has name Das, that means coming from Shudra family, right? And this Ashoka Das, especially this elderly Bengali man, he was harassing him like anything. Hey, Ashok, come here, pick this one up, go away, oh no, come back, oh, I need a pillow behind my back, okay, put it behind my back, little bit further, okay, now you can go, no, Ashok, come back, there is one piece of paper lying here, pick it up, go away, oh no, come, it's like, he was torturing him. And I was expecting this Ashoka to blow up and tell him, go to hell at some point. But no. The more he was serving, the more he was glowing with joy. And I was thinking, this is amazing. He enjoys, doing whatever he was asked to do. So this is the Shudra's nature. He was really trying, his best, putting his heart into the service, even serving such useless people. And of course, in the end, all these servants, they were getting tips. And Ashoka got the most of the tips because he did most of the service, thrice more than triple comparing to everybody else because he was running so fast. And I was thinking, make this Ashoka into devotee and put him to serve deities. Those deities will talk to him. Those deities will be so happy with his service, right? And he's just a Shudra by nature. So any nature engaged in Krishna's service helps one to achieve perfection. Whether you are servant or you are money maker or you are leader or you are a scientist, whoever you are, engage your nature in serving Krishna. And you will achieve full success, material and spiritual. Of course, that's a big topic. First of all, understanding the nature and then engaging that nature. But this is a rough idea which Bhagavad-gītā gives us. All right. Anyone else? Yes. Microphone for recording purposes only.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, want to understand one thing regarding, we are in a day-to-day life. It is a hectic life what we have right now, right? We wake up, we go with our work, we have other challenges as well. How to manage and how to maintain the discipline of the bhakti in our life so that we can keep growing and keep on doing the spiritual aspects as well. If I talk about myself, I wake up early and then do all puja part and everything. But still, at the end of the day, it got a lot of tiredness and all those things happen. Then again, I arrange myself and start working on those things. But how a person can think about in that direction so that he keep on growing in spiritual aspects as well and his day-to-day activities, because we have a lot of corporate issues, a lot of things that are going on. So how we manage and maintain those things?
That's a very big question, but very brief understanding is that it is the matter of prioritizing things and time management as well. And the most important thing is the motto: instead of working hard, we have to work smart. So for working smart, if you work smart, you can achieve greater results than if you work hard. I mean, it's universally noticed that those people who work while sitting down earn more than those people who work while standing up. Right? Those who use their head, they earn much more than those who use their body. Right? So that's an example how smart work is much more rewarding. And of course, smart means intelligence. And where the intelligence is coming from, that's the next verse, 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Krishna says, those who are serving me with love, I give them intelligence by which they can come to me. So if you prioritize Krishna, and Krishna for us means japa. I mean, the same 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā says, Yagyanam japa yagyo smi. Of all sacrifices, I am japa yagya. So, and we know how much yagya is important in our life, right? And topmost yagya is japa yagya. So the very first thing in the morning, we have to complete our japa. Even if we haven't taken bath. Because sometimes after taking bath, we have to do so many other things. So some devotees, to avoid that, they just wash their hands and mouth and finish their japa, even before taking bath. So, because if you give time to Krishna, Krishna will give you time, because Krishna is time. That's very important. Krishna explains that in Bhagavad-gītā, that he is time. And no time means we don't have enough Krishna's mercy. So we have to get more Krishna's mercy. All right. So we're finishing here. I hope everyone's happy. Okay. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. And now we are moving into the most blissful part of our program, right? Prabhu will explain.
Trust me, I won't take more than 2 minutes. I know everybody is looking at the clock. It's got a bit late today. But when Maharaj actually started the class, the first thought that came to me for our regular attendees,